Hey everyone, welcome to the video. This one we are lineup building for week 9 of the NFL season on Draftkings. Now we're just going to go through a cash game lineup build. This isn't geared towards our GPPs. This is just an initial cash game lineup build that I think has a pretty solid foundation to it, a solid base. It's got a pretty high floor. It's got a high ceiling as well, but I think it's got a pretty nice floor, which is what we want in cash games. We're not trying to break the slate on cash game lineups. We're just trying to build a nice chalky lineup that's got a really safe floor and doesn't have a lot of risk to it. Anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And if you're interested in the spreadsheets about every single week for the NFL season or the NBA season, I do one every single night. Links are all in the description below for my Patreon, and it's near the beginning of the month, so it's the best time to sign up for Patreon because they charge you at the end of the month, so you're getting your best bang for your buck. I got projections on there, my rankings, cash game rankings, cheat sheet, Slack chat, projected ownership, all that good stuff. Links in the description below for my Patreon. And also, today is my birthday, so if you guys like a good narrative, a nice birthday narrative, maybe this lineup will have some really good luck. So maybe you do want to plug and play it. I'm not saying to go use this lineup and plug and play it because this is just an example lineup, and it's not something I'm guaranteed to use. But if you guys like a good narrative, maybe this lineup goes off. So anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing I was doing when I was building a cash game lineup this week, I am deciding between Matthew Stafford or Derek Carr. I like this game a ton. You guys know that. It's got the tie for the highest Vegas total of the slate. It's a really tight spread. Two pretty bad defenses going at it. So I like Derek Carr as a nice cheap option, but in the lineup we're building, I was able to afford Matthew Stafford, who I like a ton this week. You guys know it. He was in my core plays video, and so is Derek Carr. But I mean, you can use Derek Carr too. I have no problem with that. And we can make a couple pivots at the end of this video, see what would change if we use different people, different positions. But Matthew Stafford, I like him quite a bit. He's coming in pretty hot. He had two really nice games in a row at 32 fantasy points and 27 versus Minnesota and the New York Giants. And this is just one of the highest. It is the highest Vegas total on the slate, tied with the Seahawks and Tampa Bay game. And they don't have a run game right now. They got Trey Carson, they got Ty Johnson, they got J.D. McKissic. All those guys suck. I know they were working out Jay Ajayi, but obviously, even if no matter what, he's not going to be on the team this week, no matter what happens. So they're stuck with that trio of pretty much garbage. So they're going to have to rely on the passing game, and this is a great game to have to rely on the passing game. Oakland is giving up 25.1 points per game as a quarterback, which is second most in the league. They're 29th DVOA versus the pass. They're giving up on average 300 passing yards per game, and Stafford's actually averaging 300 passing yards per game. And they're also giving up 2.7 touchdowns per game, which leads the entire league. And they've given up the third most touchdowns in the league so far this season. And they've had a bye week. That's pretty darn bad. Matthew Stafford should be able to have a huge game. I think he can get you 30 fantasy points. I think he's a safe bet for over 20. Obviously, if I'm paying $6,800 for a quarterback, I hope he can get me 20. But I really do think we're going to be sitting in that 25 to 30 point range with upside. He should be able to connect with Galladay, Marvin Jones. Maybe T.J. Hawkinson gets involved, Danny Amendola. I think they all should have some pretty good games here. This is a terrible pass defense. So Matthew Stafford, he makes a ton of sense for me this week. So he's my QB1. I'm going to plug him in. If you're going to go cheaper, I think Derek Carr is just fine too. I think they're both going to be the two most popular quarterbacks on the slate because everyone's going to want pieces of this game. So if I'm building a cash game lineup, I'm probably sticking into this game with my quarterback. Now for the running back position, and in cash games, I preach it every week. I need volume. I need a ton of it. Matthew Stafford, he's going to throw the ball a ton. So I'm getting volume out of my quarterback as well. And we go to the running back position. We're going to get the volume king in Christian McCaffrey. Every single week, besides Tampa on a Thursday night game, he has balled out 30 points, 21, 50, 33, 37 versus Tampa, the number one DVOA run defense. But then he got revenge week 6 where he had 21 fantasy points. And then week 1, he had 45 fantasy points. And he's played some two rock-solid run defenses the past 2 weeks in Tampa Bay and San Francisco, two of the best run defenses in the NFL. And he got 30 and 21 fantasy points. Christian McCaffrey, I think he's going to be pretty popular despite the high price tag. And he's actually pretty easy to fit in this week because we did have some value open up. So, I mean, there's nothing I can bad to say about Christian McCaffrey. The matchup isn't great, but Tennessee's actually giving up the second most receptions to running backs this season, which is right in Christian McCaffrey's wheelhouse. He's averaging 27 touches per game, which leads the entire NFL. And he's heavily involved in the passing game too, which is great for PPR scoring, which is what Draftkings is. He's getting 7 targets per game. So Christian McCaffrey, I don't see why we would want to fade him. I understand the matchup isn't the absolute greatest, but I don't really care about matchups when it comes to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's been fine the past 2 weeks, and it doesn't really get tougher than that. So he should be fine here. I think we see probably another 30-point outing. They're going to rely on him heavily. So McCaffrey, he makes a lot of sense for me in cash games. I know he breaks the bank, but he's actually pretty affordable this week with all the value options we have. So McCaffrey, locking him in. And then Dalvin Cook, 9,500. We're loading up at running back this week. I said it in my core plays video. I am looking to spend up at running back, and I actually said that on my initial video on Monday. It looks like a running back heavy week for me, and it's looking like it's going to be. Dalvin Cook has been an absolute machine this season. 28, 30, 13. That's his worst game, and it was versus Philly, who's got one of the best run defenses in the NFL. Still got 13 fantasy points. That's fine. Then he had 29, 19, 27, 31, 29. Honestly, he's my RB1 of the week. I love Christian McCaffrey, but if I had to pick one running back, if I was forced to choose one, I want Dalvin Cook. But I can fit both in right now, so Dalvin Cook, I love him a lot as my RB2. That's crazy to say Dalvin Cook is my RB2, so I love this start of this lineup. And he's another guy who's getting a ton of volume, which is what I want in cash games. He's averaging nearly 24 touches per game, which is third most, only behind Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette. He's been extremely efficient this season. He's averaging 5.28 yards per carry, which is only behind Nick Chubb of qualified running backs. And like I said, he's got an extremely high floor. The worst game he's had all season is 13, and that was versus Philly. I mean, that's higher than Christian McCaffrey's floor. Now, he does not have the absolute ceiling of Christian McCaffrey, but still, he's been amazing this season. And it's also an extremely great matchup versus Kansas City. They are one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. They are 30th DVOA versus the run, and they're allowing 32.7 points per game to running backs, which is most in the entire NFL. And for the offensive line versus defensive line run blocking matchup, it's the best in the league for Minnesota this week. The number one advantage for run blocking this week. So, Dalvin Cook, he should have no problem eating in this matchup. I love spending up for both these running backs, and I think it's going to be well worth it. So Dalvin Cook, let's load him up with Christian McCaffrey. So that is an awesome start to this lineup. Matthew Stafford's in an awesome matchup versus Oakland. He's going to throw the ball a ton. Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get the ball like 30 times. Dalvin Cook, he's probably going to get the ball near 30 times, and it's a great matchup. So I feel very safe about this. There is no risk in this. Obviously, if they suck, they suck, but I'm not going to plan on that, and I can only project volume and opportunity, and these guys are going to get a ton of it, so they should be fine. They're some of the best players in the NFL, so love the start to this lineup. Now we get to go to the wide receiver position, and we're going to have to spend down a little bit. I cannot afford guys like Kenny Golladay, Diggs, Lockett, Tyreek Hill, Godwin. I would love to. I'd love to be able to put in Chris Godwin here or Kenny Golladay, but I can't because we spend all of our money at running back, so that's fine. I don't feel bad about missing out on a high-end receiver because I'm really not in love with trying to spend up for a wide receiver this week. So I think we can find some value here, and it's actually a pretty good correlation play with Matthew Stafford. I like Tyrell Williams here at 5,900, and he's been great in every single game he's played so far this season. I mean, his game log's great. 18, 12, 11, 15, 25, and he scored a touchdown in every single game so far. And, I just like... So we're going to also use a Detroit wide receiver here. So I always like running it back with someone that makes good correlation plays. Now, I'm not always trying to make a correlation lineup in cash games, but if it's easily doable, yeah, let's go for it, because obviously I would want that to happen during the game. So I'm going to try to bank on that in my lineup. So Tyrell Williams, he makes sense. I think the Lions are going to put up a lot of points, and I think the Raiders are going to put up a lot of points, and I think Tyrell Williams should have not a huge portion of it, but he should have a decent portion. I mean, he sees some consistent targets every week. 6, 7, 3, then 7, 7, 7. So Tyrell Williams, he's been fine. Detroit, they're actually giving up the 9th most points per game to wide receivers this season. He's got big play upside as well. He's got a 41% market share of the team's air yards and an average depth of target of 15. And like I said, he makes a nice correlation play if you're using Derek Carr or if you're running him back with a Matthew Stafford / wide receiver combo stack. So he makes sense either way. So if you're playing Derek Carr, you can pair him up, or you can run him back with a Matthew Stafford stack. So Tyrell Williams, I like him a lot this week. He's pretty affordable, 5,900. I like his upside. And then for the second wide receiver spot, I'm liking pairing it up with my quarterback. I always like to try to get a quarterback wide receiver combo, because if I think the quarterback's going to have a good game, I think one of his wide receivers is going to have a good game, and then he's going to spread the ball around enough here. And I think Danny Amendola can get the job done here at 4,700. He's decently cheap here, and I like him a lot. I love this game, so I want as much exposure as I can to it as possible. Now, he's not popping up as a high projected ownership guy, which I think is a little weird. I think he should have some ownership, but he's pretty cheap, and he's been pretty involved the past 2 games. Now, I'm not just saying that we're going to play him just because of these past 2 games. I mean, he's a fine receiver when he's not hurt, which is the problem. He's always hurt, but he's finally getting a little healthy here, and he's been heavily involved the past 2 weeks. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Anyway, yeah, he scored 21 points and 17 points. He's had, 19 targets the past 2 weeks. He's caught 16 balls, 105 yards week 7, 95 yards week 8. And he hasn't gotten to the end zone, but if he does, you're going to probably have a pretty good fantasy on it. I'm not saying he's going to get over 100 yards again, but I think he can get you anywhere from 5 to 8 targets here, looking conservatively. And he should be able to get you 60 to 80 yards, and let's hope he gets into the end zone. I think he's pretty safe at his price tag of 4,700, and this is a great matchup. Like I said, we have a really high Vegas total here. His snaps are rising 71% and 67% the past 2 weeks. And, yeah, this Raiders defense is absolutely awful, and they're giving up near the most points in the league versus fantasy wide receivers this season. I believe it's 42 points per game, which is 6th most, and allowing nearly 200 receiving yards per game to wide receivers. And Danny Amendola actually has like a top 3 wide receiver versus cornerback matchup in the league this week on PFF. It might actually be number 1. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know I think he's at the very top of the list. So PFF likes the matchup there individually. I like Danny Amendola a lot this week. He's pretty cheap at 4,700. It's just cheap exposure to this game. He should be fine. I don't think he's going to be a high ceiling guy, but I think he's got a pretty decent floor here. Should be able to catch over 5 balls. Hopefully get into the end zone. If not, I think we're looking at maybe like 12, 10 to 15 points with upside of around 20. So Danny Amendola, he makes sense to me. It's a good correlation play. So we do have a little correlation in our lineup. Matthew Stafford to Danny Amendola. Then we're bringing it back with Preston Williams. Now, I'm not doing this on purpose, but it just makes a lot of sense here. So, I mean, I guess I am doing it on purpose, but I'm not going out of my way to do it. But it ended up working out in this lineup. And then for the wide receiver 3 spot, I'm liking Curtis Samuel. Now, it got a little bit riskier today when he didn't practice, which is weird because he missed practice Wednesday, then he practiced in full on Thursday, and then he didn't practice on Friday. So that was a little weird, but it says right here they do expect him to play on Sunday, so that's all I can go by right now. Obviously, if he's out, don't play him. It would be a bump to DJ Moore, but as of right now, let's just assume he plays and he's a full go. I like him here at 4,300. I think he's just a little bit too cheap this week. He saw 11 targets last week. He's averaging over 7 targets per game on the season. Tennessee's 20th DVOA versus the pass, but they have been a little bit stingy when it comes to opposing wide receivers this season, but they did just get destroyed by Mike Evans, so obviously they're not unbeatable. And Curtis Samuel, I think he's got talent. He's more talented than his price tag would suggest at 4,300. As long as he's a full go, I think he's a pretty safe bet to have some high ownership, and he's been fine this season. I mean, he's never completely goosed you or anything. I mean, 6, 14, 16, 6, 7, 23, 8. He's got upside. So, and he's got a decent floor too. He's had no less than 6 points this year. So I'll take that at 4,300. He's going to let me get my big guys in. I don't love playing 2 guys on the same team when it comes to wide receiver and running back. But at this price tag, I don't mind it at 4,300, with Christian McCaffrey and Curtis Samuel. So Curtis Samuel, we can use him. And there's some other options too. So if we don't want to use Curtis Samuel, say he's not in, Jarvis Landry at 4,500. He seems a little bit too cheap. Devontae Parker maybe. Preston Williams, he kind of catches my eye a little bit. Now he's not great or anything, but 8, 13, 5, 8, 10, 10, 11. That's not too bad. So if Curtis Samuel is out, I think Preston Williams is a pretty good pivot here. He's seeing consistent targets, 7, 8, 6, 7, 12, 6, 5. I'll take that. So if Curtis Samuel ends up being out, Preston Williams, he would make some sense for me this week. And then we also have a couple guys, Demaryius Thomas I liked earlier in the week, but he is questionable, so we'll have to see. But I think Preston Williams would probably be the best pivot there. And as for the tight end position, I like spending down here because obviously I can't afford a spend up spot because we have 2,900 remaining in this lineup. So obviously I'd love to play Darren Waller. I can't. Zach Ertz, I think he's going to be pretty popular this week at 4,700, but as you can see, we can't afford him. So we are going to go to Jack Doyle here at 3K. And I like him a lot this week. So earlier in the week on my core plays video, I said that I already like him, but if T.Y. Hilton and or Eric Ebron is out, I would like him even more. Well, T.Y. Hilton is looking to miss a couple weeks right now, so Jack Doyle should see an expanded role here. And he's already been pretty consistent this season, 10, 5, 4, 12, 8, 4, 3. I know that doesn't sound great, but if you look at his price tag, he's only 3K. So he's been consistent for his price tag. He sees consistent targets every week. I mean, he's had 8 before. But other than that, you're still getting at least a handful of targets each and every single week. Now, he's not going to be a big yardage guy, so we're going to pretty much have to hope he gets into the end zone for a huge game. But even if he doesn't get into the end zone, I think we can see something like 6 targets, 3 to 5 catches for 40 to 60 yards, and I'll take that at 3K. I think he's got double-digit upside here. I think he gets you over 5 points in a 3K. That's all we're asking for because he's going to let us get in guys like Stafford, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and all those kind of guys. So Jack Doyle, he makes sense to me this week, and it definitely got a boost for me after with T.Y. Hilton being out. So do like Jack Doyle quite a bit at 3K. Then for the flex spot, in my core play video, I said, depending on James Conner news, we could have a lock of the slate, and we do now have a lock of the slate. And that is going to be Jalen Samuels at 4K. So James Conner is listed as doubtful. Benny Snell is definitely not playing. He's got to get that something with his knee. So Jalen Samuels looks like he's going to be the RB1 here, and I saw a tweet that said that he might end up taking every single snap in this game. Obviously, I'm not sure if that would be correct, but Jalen Samuels, he's going to be in for a heavy workload here. We saw how successful he was last season when he was the main running back. He was balling out. So Jalen Samuels at 4K, he is the free square of the week. And using Jalen Samuels, we have an insane floor of running backs right now, like a really high floor with a lot of high volume here, and they all got upside. So Christian McCaffrey, he could see 30 touches. Dalvin Cook could see 30 touches. Jalen Samuels is probably going to get over 20 touches, so I like that a lot. We're getting like near 80. We have like 80 touch potential here in our running backs. I'm not saying they're going to get 80 touches, but there's the potential of that. And I will take that volume all day in my lineup. I do think these are going to be the 3 highest on running backs. They're pretty easy to fit in. As you can see, we still have 1,800 left, so we can't afford a defense, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I think Jalen Samuels is going to be the highest on running back. Then Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook are going to be pretty high owned as well. I think Nick Chubb will have some ownership, which I do like Nick Chubb quite a bit this week. But Jalen Samuels at 4K, being the main running back, going to see all the work. He catches passes too, which is great for PPR. He makes too much sense this week, so we are going to have to load him in. So, like Jalen Samuels. Now we have 1,800 left, which fits perfect because we have the Redskins defense at 1,800, who I just like punting defense a lot. And the Redskins defense has honestly not been terrible for fantasy purposes. Versus Philly they were, but still. 2, 5, 9, 5, 10, 8, 6. And they played some decent offenses. New England, 5 points. San Francisco, 8 points. Minnesota, 6 points. Miami, yeah, they suck, but I mean, they've been okay. So at 1,800 versus Buffalo, I mean, Buffalo's a pretty good team. They're more of a better defensive team. I don't really respect their offense too much. They should be fine versus Buffalo. I don't think they get blown out of the water here. Should be able to get you 3 points. If they get 3 points, I'm jumping out of my socks here because I'll take that at 1,800 because they let me fit in all my studs. So punting defense, I think, might be the way to go this week. So 1,800 at the Redskins, I don't mind it at all. And that leaves us right at 0. And I think we got a pretty good build here. So we got Matthew Stafford. He's going to throw the ball a ton. It's a great matchup at 6,800. I like him a lot. Christian McCaffrey, volume king, RB1 in the season, an absolute monster. We got him in. Dalvin Cook, RB2 in the season, right behind Christian McCaffrey. So I got 2 elite running backs. It doesn't get better than this. And Dalvin Cook has a extremely high floor, high ceiling, going up in the best matchup you can ask for right now. So he makes a lot of sense. Tyrell Williams, he's got upside, and he's been very safe this season. He's going to see consistent targets. He's the wide receiver 1 on this team. Going to be a great game environment. I like running it back with my little Stafford Amendola stack. So Tyrell Williams, he makes sense. Danny Amendola, I think for his price tag, he's got a nice floor here, and he's got some upside as well. He's seen consistent targets the past 2 weeks, and I think there's no reason to get away from that. Don't really see them running the ball too much because of the running back situation with Ty Johnson, Trey Carson. So I think they're going to throw the ball a lot, and Danny Amendola should see 5 to 8 targets with upside of even more. Curtis Samuel, pretty much just a price play right there. If you want to pivot to Preston Williams, I think that's fine as well. So you could, just for the people that might skip to the end of this video and not actually watch the video, I'm going to plug Preston Williams in there too. So if you're just skipping around, I don't mind him either. But that's just plugging Curtis Samuel for the moment. And we got Jack Doyle. He should see a bump in usage with T.Y. Hilton now, and I already liked him beforehand, so Jack Doyle at 3K, I don't mind that at all. Jalen Samuels is basically the lock of the slate. He's going to get all the work here, 20, 25 touch potential here, and he's been very effective when he's been the starter like last year, so he makes sense. He catches passes. Then the Redskins defense, that's just a punt to let us fit in all of our studs. And I said I was going to make some pivots at the end of this video. So let's say we want to go with Derek Carr at quarterback, save some dough there. He is 5,500. So let's say we use Derek Carr. We have 1,300 remaining. So I don't know where we could play around with that. Maybe we could upgrade the defense if you don't absolutely trust the Redskins defense. I'm not saying I trust them, but I think I think they're a decent punt play. But we could use the Browns defense going up against Brandon Allen in his first NFL start. I think that would make some sense. You could also use the Eagles defense going up against Chicago because I don't think Mitch Trubisky's a very good quarterback. I'm sure you guys don't either. So I wouldn't hate that. But that's really all the pivots I like. I mean, you could upgrade one of your wide receivers or maybe the tight end. So I don't know. Let's see. So let's plug in Derek Carr again. Let's plug in the Redskins defense. So we got 1,300 left. Maybe we could upgrade our tight end, 4,300. I really don't think it's worth it to try to get Jimmy Graham in our lineups. I'd rather just kind of stay with Jack Doyle. So I don't know what we could really, maybe the wide receiver spot. Curtis Samuel maybe, 56. I don't know. I really don't like any of these pivots. So let's just go with the first lineup. I like that a lot better. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If it was helpful, remember to leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at ChrisPinell16. And the spreadsheets, they're all available in the description below for my Patreon. I'm extremely tired. I'm going to go to bed. I'll see you guys in the next video. And I wish you guys the best of luck on Sunday, because this is my last video until Sunday. So see you guys then. Best of luck and go win some money.